Welcome back to IT Sports. There's a potential, I'm not sure potential is the right word, but there's a boxing fight in the rumor mill that involves one of the UK's own Anthony Joshua and one of the UFC's own Stipe Miocic. Now, before people jump the gun and start screaming, fake news, Joshua's not going to do it, I also think this is an extremely unlikely fight. But then again, I'm the guy who sat right here and said, there's no way that Pacquiao Mayweather's going to happen. It was going to happen like 5 years ago.
I love your own impersonation of you.
And then even worse was, why would McGregor ever fight Mayweather?
I love your own impersonation of you.
Yeah, it's me. It's me impersonating myself. Like, why would I talk any other way?
You should never talk any other way other than the way you impersonate yourself. From now on, please.
Why would I do that? So like, there's been stranger things that have happened in the world of sports. Case and point, McGregor fighting Mayweather. And again, people go like, it's also, wow, my dumb commenter voice is also my dumb impersonation of myself.
Just do that voice. That's just gonna save you a lot of time switching into different voices.
If I always talk like that, then when I make a smart point, I can change to this voice and be like,
this is your smart point voice?
Smart point voice, yes, of course.
Yeah, you're spot on, but Miocic himself is obviously alluding to this fight because this is what happens when Conor McGregor sets the precedence and is taking home hundreds of millions of dollars in a paycheck. Is people in the UFC who a lot of these fighters, unless they're the top card, feel they're undervalued. So they're probably like, you know what, I'm going to get myself a little piece of this cake. And I don't blame them for doing it. Go ahead, fight Anthony Joshua. I will tune in and watch it.
Yeah, but so here's my case for why
you wouldn't.
It would be.
You would.
Oh, are you kidding? I'll watch any spectacle.
I'll watch Anthony Joshua fight anytime.
Yeah, I'll watch. I love Anthony Joshua, 19-0 with 19 KOs. Also, so this happened. So a couple days ago, right after Klitschko retired, Klitschko, respect for a good champion, a technically gifted. I can go into more. I can just watch Rick's video as to why Klitschko is such a good boxer. He wasn't necessarily the most exciting of boxers, and now that Joshua is here, Joshua does prove to be, I think, a great, or should be a great champion. It hasn't been that long that he's been champion. So after Klitschko retired, Miocic went to Twitter immediately and said these two. So these are the two tweets, 14 and 15. Much respect that Klitschko, an incredible career. Good luck on the next chapter, champ. And he continued to say, looks like your schedule is wide open. No excuses, let's dance. Baddest man on the planet. Stipe Miocic was called out by Joshua when he first asked for this fight in the middle of the McGregor-Mayweather talks ramping up a couple months back, and Joshua said, who the fook is that guy? Which is very funny, using McGregor's words, very good line. Miocic is the best heavyweight in the UFC, and arguably the best heavyweight in UFC history. He's on a 5 straight KO streak, and he did it against Verdum, and then he did it against, I believe, Overeem, and then most recently when he actually got a vengeance on his loss to Dos Santos, he was able to fight and knock out Junior Dos Santos. He's done it in the first round for the last 4 straight fights, and he's defended his title 3 times. But the interesting thing about why Miocic would be more entertaining of a fight, not press conference entertaining, I'm talking about the aesthetics of the actual fight. They're heavyweights, and people, I mean, look, when it comes to boxing, heavyweights always will reign king in terms of excitement level.
Well, I think now,
we need it more than ever.
There was a time where the Klitschko brothers' robotic stance was controlling it, and you can't blame them. Like, they were just very good at it. They were very good at it, and even when David Haye was fighting, it was interesting to see how his stance would match up against him. But Anthony Joshua is almost like Mike Tyson meets Lennox Lewis reincarnated, not by their stance, but the fact that Mike Tyson was ferocious at hitting, Lennox Lewis was British. Combine them and you kind of get the same thing.
That's a nice
same thing. But anyway, there might be similarities in that boxing. If you go into the details, I'm sure a better boxing analyst can tell you their stance and what they're like. I just think Anthony Joshua gets me up out my seat watching the fight between him and Klitschko. No one denied that was an exciting boxing match that reminded everyone of those nostalgic days in heavyweight boxing.
And it sold out Wembley Stadium, which is important because what do promoters want to see? The seats completely filled and pay-per-view prices through the roof. But here's what you might not know about Stipe Miocic. For one, let's get the push for the fight. This is element number 13. So Miocic has been pushing for a fight with Joshua for a big part of 2017, as we mentioned before, after the bout was originally suggested to him ahead of his most recent title defense against Junior Dos Santos in May, just a little bit earlier. Miocic later said that he was dead serious about pursuing the fight, not only because it gave him a chance to cross over into the sport of boxing, similar to what Conor McGregor is doing for his bout against Floyd Mayweather, but he legitimately believes that he would be able to defeat Joshua in the ring. I don't necessarily believe that. But also, element number 16, I know we're out of order here. Francis, if you're aware of what Golden Gloves is in the United States, it's an amateur boxing circuit, and he won, allegedly, according to Yahoo Sports back in January of 2014. Miocic began fighting in mixed martial arts. He opted to learn to box to make himself more well-rounded as a fighter. He did win the Cleveland Golden Gloves and then take his first 2 bouts in the 2009 Nationals before being eliminated. Yeah. So he has some amateur boxing experience. He's a heavyweight. He's a tremendous athlete. I don't want to take anything away from Conor McGregor in terms of athleticism. We're talking about 2 different mental aspects of approaching a boxing fight. And I just said to you before the camera was rolling, the difference here is that if we're overestimating any chance that Miocic would actually have, and again, I would put him in the same category, which is very little chance at all, against a boxer, Joshua just moves to 20-0 with 20 knockouts, and Miocic is dead in the corner of the ring.
Yeah, it's regardless. I would be one of the first ones to buy the pay-per-view to watch it because I kind of made my vow to no one because I was watching the fight on my own, but to the universe that I was going to watch every one of Anthony Joshua's fights. So he carries himself with such, again, class. He's a classy guy. First thing he did after I think he started to make money was he bought his former boxing coach a BMW or a Mercedes or something like that and went back to him. So he definitely knows where he came from, and I think that's a really strong value in him. I would like to see this because I think there's going to be more of a crossover. Just like anything, when someone does it first.
Do you think we should see more crossover?
UFC fighters should is a different word than will. Should, we can't judge until we see what happens August 26th.
Okay.
I think there'll be better matches, just sheer physicality-wise. Like Anthony Joshua versus Miocic looks to me like 2 strong, well-rounded fighters, and I'm not saying McGregor and Mayweather aren't, but the fact that Mayweather's been out the game for a little bit, like maybe just questions the difference. I'd like to see 2 fighters in their prime that almost match up very well with their fighting stance, like in terms of maybe someone in the UFC that's more well-rounded as a boxer than anything else.
I can make hypothetical fights between UFC fighters and boxers all day long. I'd actually like to see Lomachenko fight in the UFC against Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah,
Mighty Mouse, because they're both lightning fast and they're small. That'll be fun to see. I know, before this gets out of hand, these are hypotheticals. I was going to ask you in general, I was going to comment in general that Anthony Joshua isn't the best defensive fighter of all time. And that's like part of the difference in matching up a guy like Miocic, who's I think 34 years old, I could be wrong there, someone correct me if I am, and Anthony Joshua. Like, you're not getting the aesthetic of one of the greatest of all time to fight one of the best at promoting himself at all times. So, I also wanted to mention that in ESPN, the magazine, there is one of the best McGregor articles written. It's not necessarily about McGregor, it's about his upbringing and his childhood. And I'm not sure if you're really familiar with Dublin. I am not, so maybe this stands out more, but stuff like Sheriff Street and gangs that took place and McGregor's will to not be a part of that. He named his boat recently after the 188 welfare checks he collected for 188 straight weeks. Being a plumber, not wanting to do that, it's really interesting, and it paints obviously a pro McGregor picture, so read it with an open mind, but it paints a different picture of that mural that's on his gym in Ireland where he's training. The mural of him hitting Mayweather is because his coach wants him to see that every day. And mentally speaking, as people think it's more of a joke, like that's such a ridiculous thing to put up on the wall, but people forget how powerful mental gymnastics can be. So
I'm pretty sure that Rocky Balboa put up a photo of Mr. T and Apollo Creed on his mirror when he was fighting, and Ivan Drago, and he made sure that that was a target. You got to envision your target. Last thing, my prediction, I just remember that there'll be a great fight in the UFC, but great points, Jason. Tony Bellew versus Michael Bisping. Two like rough and rowdy Englishmen, big mouths on each side.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting.
Maybe interesting. I think Bellew would...
In boxing or the UFC?
No, I mean, the funny thing is Bellew would probably be up for it. Like, the guy doesn't say no to anything. He would definitely take it. I think it would need to be boxing, and I think Bellew would dish him.
All we need is the Undertaker out of retirement and The Rock come back in, and we have ourselves the greatest combat extravaganza of of all time. Lomachenko did fight this weekend, by the way, before we go. Lomachenko, was inviting Mariaga into the corner just so he can, as I put it, teleport around him. I don't think he's human. I don't think he's also has anybody in remotely 5 to 7 pounds in either direction to fight him. He really is the Mighty Mouse of the boxing world right now because there's just nobody who's even offering competition.
So maybe the crossover needs to happen for more competition.
Who knows?
I think it would benefit boxing more than it would benefit UFC, but I don't think any of them would be. Like, it'd be boxing almost like a next door neighbour moves in and everyone's invited to their party because they're the new hip neighbours, and then they just wander over with like little mini muffins. Because mini muffins gets the party started, and then
is that true? Is it mini muffins? I'm more a fan of the vegan brownies, but that's that's just me.
Mini muffins make everyone happier.
Sure. All right. Well, comment below. Mini muffins or vegan brownies?